International Roller Skating League presents Bank Track Skating Competition from Kezar Pavilion in the heart of Golden Gate Park, San Francisco, California. Today, it's the Bay Bombers versus the Allstars. This game has been pre-recorded for syndication and showing at a more convenient time. Any use, retransmission, reproduction, or other description of this broadcast without the express written permission of the International Roller Skating League and/or its associates is strictly prohibited. The announcers for this broadcast have been hired by the International Roller Skating League and are in no way affiliated with the station on which you are watching this program. Hello, I'm Don Drury. Along with me, Nick Scopus. We'll be calling your play-by-play action. We're in the second half of this game with the score, the Allstars 29 and the Bay Bombers 27. But Nick, before we do this, why don't we take a look at a couple of the All-Stars out there in competition against the Bay Bombers off of the different clubs that have been combined to skate on the All-Star team.
Okay, Don, we got two guys out here in the infield now. The one is Joe Foster with a towel around his neck, a 20-some-odd-year veteran and national flat track champion, one-time captain of the Bombers, a coach of several teams, and by rights he should be out on this All-Star team. The other guy that we have is standing right next to him is Cal Stevens, number 27. If we can get a shot of Cal, there he is. 240 pounds, one of the biggest, strongest blockers to come into the game since Charlie O'Connell, in my opinion. And this guy has helped this Red Devil team out that he's skating with and this All-Star team immensely. There's nothing that he can't do. He's a great pivot man. He's a great blocker. He controls the pack, and then once in a while when he has to jam, he goes out and he does that too.
Two big men out there, Nick, and certainly well qualified for their positions, both coaches. And that's the way it's about going to come down. We'll be picking up the action here in the fifth.
It's a
On Drury, Nick Scopus back calling the action. We are in the fifth skating period here at Kezar Pavilion. This game coming your way from San Francisco. Of course, pre-recorded for syndication. Along with me, Nick Scopus, we're calling your play-by-play action. The score, the All-Stars 29 and the Bay Bombers 27. Back is formed, the whistle sounds, and the jammers must work their way from the rear. The jam has now started. The jammers with the striped helmets move in front of the pack. They now have 60 seconds to lap the pack. For each opposing skater lapped and passed, within that 60 seconds, they receive 1 point. It's Jerry Murray, the women's captain of the Pioneers, moving for the All-Stars. In pursuit is 37, Carol Phoenix-Meyer, 35, Ginny McGuire. All-Stars also have out Jackie Garillo from the Red Devil squad. All-Star jammers up on top, Bombers take them back. Murray attempting to slow down both of the Bay Bombers, leaving the scoring option to Jackie Garillo. She moves in to face Johnny Weston. Weston back with a block, hits her back, slows it out. Burton comes back with a block, does not take effect on Johnny Weston, however. Garillo still sustained back there by that women's captain, number 38, Big Joan Weston. Murray has been dumped by the Bay Bomber jammers. They're now in pursuit, and Garillo is out, number 2-1. Weston moved out of the way by Burton. Garillo still trying to fight for points. Bauer coming up with a block. Bomber jammers coming up, but it's called off, and in time. There were 2 All-Star points scored on the play. Jackie Garillo.
But the team is really starting to work well. If the people didn't see that first half last week, Don, they really missed out on a great first half, and the game is continuing on in the same way as it was before. The All-Star team especially now is starting to gel and work together. And I think you're going to see an awful lot more scoring from them, a lot tougher defense from them. And the Bombers are going to have quite a way to go now.
Well, you know, Nick, in the first half, the Bombers were appeared to be a little bit more active. Maybe they've started to wear down with all of this competition out there against them.
Oh, naturally they're going to, because every block that they throw is going to have to count. And you can't throw any haphazard blocks out there right now. Everything that you do, you have to work as a unit, otherwise it's going to fall apart.
Jerry Murray again moving for the All-Stars. This time it's 34. Dolores Tucker coming out after her. Murray's got the lead, and Tucker trying to open it up. And look at this Murray start to sprint down that straightaway. Good fast strides coming out of the turn, down the straight, moving on the rear of the pack, and they're working on Pergoglia. It's Calvello working on Pergoglia at the rear of the pack. Murray coming up into scoring position. Pergoglia's been up by Calvello. You can see her at the top of your screen towards the right there. As she went by, it's called off. One more All-Star point scored.
I'll tell you what, Tilly Tucker is no slouch out there. She's one of the faster girl skaters on the bank track, and she was chasing Jerry Murray, who's been at the sport for 30-some-odd years, and she couldn't pick up any ground on her. Murph looked great.
And again, in the background, Nick, you can always see this tremendous crowd out here in support of this Bay Bomber club. They've just been phenomenal throughout this entire season.
Yes, they have. They really have, and it's been a good crowd, too.
There's Sandy Dunn, Sue Pergoglia down there. Pergoglia shaking up a little bit. Argument going on with Dunn. The official staying over right between the two of them. Back being reorganized. 2 minutes, 22 seconds remaining here in the fifth skating period. 32-27. The All-Stars on top by 5. Pivot skaters must move to the front. They wear the solid black helmets. Blockers in the middle. They wear the solid team color helmets. And the jammers, they're your potential scorers. They wear the striped helmets. Jam starting. Jackie Garillo moving out for the All-Stars. She's in a red jersey, of course, representing the Red Devils on this All-Star squad. Debbie Cho coming out also for the All-Stars. She has the yellow jersey on, representing the Chiefs. And the Bay Bombers have 2 of their jammers out. 37, Carol Phoenix-Meyer. 35, McGuire. There's a block throw, miss. And Garillo connects with her own skater. The Bombers now have the only jammers out and moving, and Ann Calvello is dropping back to do the blocking at the rear. Annie Calvello at the rear of that pack. Double duty blocking for Ann Calvello. Stops Meyer, stops McGuire. Meyer moves forward again. Joe looking to assist. And the Pioneers setting up a double block up in front as the Bombers have locked all of the All-Stars in that pack. Now a double block with Burton and with Ann Calvello. Weston dropping back on the assist for the Bay Bomber jammers. There's a whip to Judy McGuire. High to the outside. Reversed whip. Meyer spun underneath, up over the top. McGuire to the inside. They're rounded through. And still going. Pouring it on. Trying to catch up with the rest of the All-Stars in that pack. They whip forward, but time runs out. The official decision, 2 for Meyer, 2 for McGuire. A total of 4 Bay Bomber points on the play.
The super whip play by Weston, McGuire, and Meyer. But after they got through there and picked up their 2 points, I don't know if you noticed on, here's a replay right here. She swings McGuire up high, Meyer through the inside, and underneath McGuire's arm, McGuire through the bottom. But now watch this for team play right here. They're going to catch 2 more whips from right there. And if they had a little more time, they'd have picked up 6 points easy. But the time ran out on them. This is what the Bombers have going for them against that All-Star team.
32-31. The All-Star lead cut to 1 point here in the fifth skating period with 12 seconds remaining. Men will be standing by, getting ready to take on the job of going out there on the track and putting the points up for their respective clubs in just a few seconds as time in this period now expires. And it's over with a score at the end of the fifth period. The All-Stars 32 and the Bay Bombers 31. We'll be right back, joining the men in the sixth skating period of the second half of this game from Kezar Pavilion right after these commercial words. Don Drury, Nick Scove is back calling the action. We're in the sixth skating period here at Kezar Pavilion. The Bay Bombers taking on the All-Stars. And you'll notice the different colored jerseys out there. Each team, or the All-Stars representing their respective teams wearing their jerseys. Off a whip, Cliff Butler from Charlie O'Connell. A lot of speed, fighting for balance, staggered back, just catches it. Larry Lee is able to catch up with Butler because of that delayed time. Butler not wanting Lee to take over the lead, comes back with a block from the outside, then the inside, back up with another one, elbow block, slows him down and tries to maintain the lead position on that jam. Both jammers moving into contention at the rear. It'll be Bill Grohl back to do the blocking for the Bay Bombers. And back there for the All-Stars is John Rice right now. Butler is the lead potential scorer. Butler goes to the outside, Rice in with the block, stop there. Grohl set and waiting. Lee comes up, going back with a block. Lee trying to score over Bill Grohl up in that pack. Grohl comes in, shoulder block sends him up along the rail. Butler has been taken back, and now Rice moves up on the assist. He'll be trying to move Grohl out of the way. The block from the outside, Grohl being hit. Lee trying to get through. Roscoe also moved out of the way. The jam called up. There were 2 All-Star points scored on the play. There's a combination of the Red Devils and the Chiefs working together.
Yeah, the only bad part about that was Orozco had no chance to throw a block when Grohl got driven forward by Johnny Rice. That was a super assist by Rice, by the way. When Grohl got driven forward, he ran into Orozco, and Orozco's usually lurking up in front of the primary blocker to pick up that guy if he does get through. Gill didn't have a chance to do anything, and they went through, picked up 2 points, and it was a strong 2 points too.
34-31. The All-Stars lead by 3 here in the 6th skating period. 9 minutes, 50 seconds left to go. Back 4 and whistle sound. Number 35, Mike Gammon whipped out of that pack. All-Stars breaking the jammer out. There he is, 35. Gammon lying on your screen right there. Alfonso Reyes is out in pursuit for the All-Stars. He's at the top of your screen. Gammon again coming up. You can see the speed of these men as they move through that turn. Gammon already approaching scoring position at the rear. It's going to be 53, JoJo Stafford of the All-Stars from the Pioneers. Back to do the blocking for the All-Stars. Bill Grohl again back on defense for the Bay Bombers. Offensive jammers make their way forward. Gammon has been hit back twice. Grohl comes in with a block, stops. Reyes. Gammon slipping through on the inside. I don't know if he was completely by there. On the inside. Cuts the jam off. And an easy point picked up for the Bay Bombers. Uh-oh. This flying Orozco and Reyes. Orozco and Reyes. This flying up there.
Boy, Gilbert gets that death lock on you. He's not going to let you go.
And Reyes' temper is up. Reyes kept hitting Orozco, but he kept catching him right in the top of the, you know, the advantage of taking that helmet off and leaving it on is sometimes it'll come down, and when you get hit, it'll cut you. But Orozco uses it to good advantage right there. Reyes really couldn't get the shot in on him, kept hitting him in the top of that helmet.
I know. I used to try to keep it on, but they would always find a way around it, you know.
Generally the strap around your neck, as I recall.
I know.
Recalling one game, I remember a particular strap.
What?
A particular strap.
Not with me.
Jammers out moving. It's Johnny Rice on the move for the All-Stars. O'Connell reaching back, a whip, and Butler is flying in pursuit. Cliff Butler moves up, slows down, block from the outside, comes up to the inside, got a block into Rice. Elbow block, forearm block, back, Rice put down. The Bombers now the only jammer out, but it's going to be Cal Stevens back to do the blocking for the All-Stars. And after fighting with Rice for all of that time, it's a big man to be going against. Cal Stevens, coach of the Brooklyn Red Devils, on defense for the All-Stars. Bill Grohl dropping back, but he's got an All-Star jammer coming up on him. Again, Butler trying to score. Grohl slows down Larry Lee of the All-Stars. Rice spins around. Rice comes back, a leg block. Drops Butler. Lee now moving up. Grohl in trouble. He'll have to defend back there. Grohl again comes back with that block. Moves out of the way. Rice, Gammon coming up, and jam. Time has run out before Gammon could get through. No score on the play. Good effort up there. Gammon came from out of nowhere. Butler shaken up down the track, being attended to by his teammates. All-Stars lead 34-32 over the Bay Bombers here in the 6th period. And a timeout being called on the track. Don Drury, Nick Scobus back calling the action. This jam has just gotten underway. It's Mike Gammon going out with Joe Foster. Foster out for the All-Stars. Bombers against the All-Stars here at Kezar Pavilion in this game. Foster comes up with a key block, puts Gammon down. The All-Stars lead 34-32 here in the 6th period with 5 minutes and 50 seconds left to go. Alfonso Reyes back to lead the way. They're holding Grohl up there. Foster goes to the inside. Caught by O'Connell. The jam called off. The jam called off, and O'Connell is protesting down on the infield to the officials right now that Foster had a skate on the infield. The official ruling that he had one skate on the track, the other foot was lifted and did not touch the infield. There were 3 All-Star points scored on the play by Joe Foster.
That was a good call by the officials. It appeared, you know, we lost track of his foot behind the benches from up here where we sit, Don. But when he came out of the turn, he had his foot up in the air, and I'm willing to think that the officials were right on that. I think we got a replay of it. Here he comes. Here's Foster chasing Gammon. Foster used to be a national flat track champion, too. Puts a good block on Mike, comes on in at the rear. And Alfonso's going to make a charge at the rear, try to lift the field right here. Joe's going to drop to the inside. He's got that foot in the air.
Yeah, you could see the knee was raised.
Yeah, he had the foot up in the air. It was a good call all the way around.
We're back live as the action is happening. Again, we remind you this game is pre-recorded. Bomber jammer out is number 31, Chris Rowe. It's John Rice on the move for the All-Stars. Again, if you're watching this game and you see the different colored jerseys out there, this is the Bay Bombers against the... Oh, good leg block up there against Johnny Rice from Cliff Butler. Rowe drives him forward. Butler nails him again. Again, Rowe drives him forward again. Butler comes in with that block. Now Rowe able to block, and he's done. They move the lead. There's a leg block, a forearm block, driving his way through. Rowe still fighting for points. Tony Smith coming in with a block. The jam called off. There was one Bay Bomber point scored.
That was surprising for Rowe, Don, on that play to start setting him up for Cliff from behind and then come up and nail him with the initial block to put him down. I think we got a replay on this. Here's Rowe from behind on Johnny Rice. He's going to drive him forward now. Fine leg block by Cliff Butler. Here comes another one up here. Rowe's moving him up forward. Another leg block. Another one right here. Now Rowe's going to come through the inside, nail him. Now watch Cliff. Cliff is going to make a good move on the pack. Get Larry Lee out of the way. He picks up a single here. And Tony Smith picks him up, but he got him too solid in there, and Chris cut it off.
Yeah, he was trying to cut it off to get out of the out of the way of those forearms there. I saw his hands go about 3 times. We're back as the action is happening. Again, we remind you this game is pre-recorded for syndication along the special Bay Bomber Network. We're in the second half with 3 minutes and 13 seconds remaining. Jammers out, moving number 38 is Bill Grohl. Alfonso Reyes, 28, coming out for the All-Stars in the chief uniform. That's the gold one. Comes up with a block. Grohl sidestep, driving right back down. Forearm block up into Reyes' elbow. Oh, good, solid block, and he hit the deck. Foster breaking late. He's a long ways back. It's Cal Stevens on defense for the Red Devils in the rear. Grohl makes a drive to the outside, hit back and stop. Grohl tries the inside, picked off there, hit back again. Bombers in control of that pack. Foster also approaching now for the All-Stars. Grohl drops back, block, Foster put down. Butler dropping back, looking to assist. Stevens is the one they have to move out of the way. 27, he's the one defending. 38 is the one that can score. Jump block. Stevens moves out of the way. Grohl cuts it off as Foster moves up again, and the Bombers pick up one more point on the play.
Fine block by Cliff Butler on the inside. Fine team effort between Butler and Grohl coming through there. And there's a little bit of sportsmanship down there that they didn't have on camera. Butler went over and picked up Cal Stevens to help him up on his feet.
You know what's interesting over there is throughout the season, Grohl has been getting knocked around. He's lost an awful lot of weight. He used to run around 210, 215 pounds. He's down to about 185. And the difference for what he's used to doing, but now he seems to be coming around and utilizing the weight that he has and trying to use leverage, squatting a little bit lower to get that good shot in.
He's skating a much smarter game than he has been.
Gammon, a lot of speed.
Oh, he's still going.
Look at it, back up and on the move. Listen to the fans come up behind. Look at these 2 men sprint out. Side by side, Gammon hangs on and Lee is stumped. What a move. And he's still pouring it on. O'Connell back to lead the way. Tony Smith back there to do the blocking. O'Connell reaches back as a whip to the outside. Reverse whip. Gammon through. He scores. Called off. There is one Bay Bomber point on the play. Mike Gammon scoring the assist of Charlie O'Connell.
Great play by Gammon coming out of that pack. Couldn't hold his speed. He went down, got up, and Larry Lee was coming. Here they are right here. Well, this is after Gammon. Gammon had been knocked down prior to this. He's still going. He comes in. Charlie O'Connell's going to back off with him. There's a shot of the people cheering him on. Here comes O'Connell. A fine whip up. He's going to whip him back through the inside. Mike cuts through, picks up that single, and gets thrown up to the top part of the track. Fine point, fine effort all the way around.
Looks like he hurt his leg right there. He was holding it as we came back. We're back live with the action as it's happening. Only 30 seconds left to go here in the period. Can we remind you the game is pre-recorded, and that is for syndication. 37-35. All-Stars lead by 2. It's Butler on the move in a race against time. 20 seconds left to go. Reyes is out for the All-Stars. He's a long ways back. Butler is crawling into the rear. It's Grohl on a drive in the rear. Stevens back to do the blocking for the All-Stars. Here comes Grohl out of that turn. Leg block up into the back of Stevens. Drives it forward into the rail. Butler going through. The jam called off. There is a penalty. Bill Grohl, illegal blocking, no score. And skaters squaring off. Reyes and Butler. Oh, good shot thrown in. And they bring it up with the score at the end of the 6th skating period. The All-Stars 37, the Bay Bombers 35. We'll be back as the women take the track for the 7th period directly following these commercial words. Don Drury, Nick Scobus back calling the action here at Kezar Pavilion. Another jam-packed house, as you can see in the background here, for the Bay Bombers. We're in the 7th skating period now. Women just taking the track for the start of the 7th period, their final regulation period of this game. Bay Bombers in competition against the All-Stars, with the All-Stars leading 37-35. Both teams shorthanded going into this period, penalties carrying over from the last period from the men. Back is formed, the whistle sounds, and the jammers are out and moving on the play. It is number 32, Barbara Baker for the Bay Bombers. 44, Debbie Cho for the All-Stars in the chief jersey. She's in the light one. If you're watching in black and white, if you're watching in color, she's in the green and gold. 1-1 as these jammers make their way around the track, trying to gain on the rear, and that's, of course, where they pick up the points. They have 60 seconds once they leave the pack to lap it. For each opposing skater lapped and passed, 60 seconds. They receive 1 point within that 60 seconds. Joe attempts to throw a block from the inside. Off balance, goes down. It's Jerry Murray back on defense for the All-Stars. Ann Bauer there is a backup and an assist for Barbara Baker. Drops behind Murray now. She'll be looking to move Murray out of the way. However, the All-Star jammer is also coming up. Murray again comes in with a block. Baker comes back with a block. Slows Cho down. They attempt to go to the outside. Cho checked into the rail. Bauer again looking to assist. Jammer trying to fight her way through is Baker. Bauer trying to get Murray out of the way. Block doesn't take. Time in the jam. Running short. Murray hanging in there. And the official decision. Baker spinning by on the inside. There was 1 Bay Bomber point scored. Barbara Baker scoring over Jerry Murray with the assist of Ann Bauer.
Little sportsmanship trying to be shown there, and Annie don't want to buy any part of it. She don't want anybody self-talking anybody that's on her team right now.
Well, you know, the interesting part of that was Mike Gammon was throwing some powder down on the track. And, uh-oh, Weston's got the powder now. Anyway, Gammon was throwing some powder out there on the track to stop the surface from being so slick. And as he was doing that, it was his mother, Jerry Murray, who had been dumped out there on the All-Star team. And he was trying to help her up. No family ties with Cavello. When you're skating, it's the blood.
I know.
Back for him. Whistle sounding. Jammers again must work their way from the rear. All-Stars are on top. 37-36 over the Bay Bombers, and they are on top at the front of this pack. Off a whip. It's the women's captain of the Chiefs, Sandy Dunn, moving out, along with J.J. Burton. Bay Bombers 35, Judy McGuire, and 37, Carol Peanuts-Meyer. All 4 out and moving on the play. Double block. Meyer hit back into McGuire. They both go down. And the All-Stars now have the only scoring threat out and moving. Burton, Dunn talking things over, taking their time. It'll be Joan Weston at the rear of the pack for the Bay Bombers on defense. She's going to have her work cut out. 2 top stars coming in against her at the same time, Dunn and Burton. Weston comes up with a block. Dunn moves to the outside, hit back. Burton trying to get through. Bauer on a late chase, but she's got a blocker coming out. She can't score. Weston trying to open up the door, and the Bay Bombers trying to go into a pull-away. Bauer a long way out. Then it's Braguglia, Meyer, McGuire, and Weston. All-Stars trying to whip those jammers up. Murray trying to get somebody out of the way. The block doesn't take. The jam called off. And time running out. Mass confusion. No score on the play. Murray made a good attempt to try to pick Weston off and bring her back in after the Bombers went into a pull-away against the All-Stars.
Had she been successful, they not only would have picked up 1 or 2 points, they'd have picked up about 3 or 4. But Weston and I think it was Supergulia that were the last 2 in that pull-away line. They came right back again after Murray came up and hit them. Got right back in that pull-away line. They just kept on going. And you have to do this. If you don't do this, the rest of the people are in jeopardy of being picked off by the leading defensive skater, or who was trying to pick up points. So they have to keep going on a play like that, and they did exactly that and saved themselves from being scored on.
37-36. The All-Stars remain on top by 1. 7 minutes, 10 seconds left to go here in the 7th skating period. It's the final period for the women in this game. Don Drury, Nick Scobus calling your play-by-play action. Pack flag is formed, the whistle sounds. The jammer moves out. It's Barbara Baker. For the Bay Bombers, coming out off a whip is the women's captain, Joan Weston. Jammer starting to play first. That's the option of the pivot skater. She can now go out and jam, but the jammer must start to play first. Weston is out, number 2-1. She's got Jackie Garillo, who is now going to whip to Jerry Murray. Murray is in pursuit. Calvello back into the blocking for the All-Stars. Murray moving up in scoring contention for the All-Stars. Weston is already at the rear of the pack. Weston trying to eliminate the opposition before she makes her move. She's also got Garillo coming up behind her. There's a block thrown back in. Weston looking to cut that jam off, and she's got two up there, but hasn't done so as yet. You can see her hands raised up towards her hip from time to time, but she's got to make contact to cut that play off. Again, no cut off as yet. And Weston raises her hands. Everybody back up. Weston's still going. Again, contact was not made. She's caught in the middle of a double block. And Calvello and somebody else working. Weston getting to the middle of that double block as the All-Star Jammers came through. The official decision, there were 2 Bay Bomber points scored by Joni Weston. So that will put the Bay Bombers on top by 1, 38-37 here in the 7th skating period, and a timeout being called on the track. Don Drury, Nick Scovas back calling the action. We're talking to you from Kezar Pavilion. We're in the 7th skating period with the Bay Bombers leading 38-37 over the All-Stars. Pivot skaters up in the front, blockers in the middle, and the jammers at the rear. Pack is formed. 4 minutes, 55 seconds left to go here for the women in this game. Then, of course, the men will take the track for the 8th and final skating period. Jammers are out and on the move. It is Sandy Dunn moving for the All-Stars along with Jerry Murray, both women's captains of the respective teams. Murray for the Pioneers and Dunn for the Chiefs. Bay Bombers have Peanut Spire and Judy McGuire out, and they're tied up as Ann Calvello, women's captain of the Red Devils, takes off with the Jammers coming on, and she is now the lead potential scorer. Annie Calvello, the only potential scorer out and moving right now. Both Bombers have been taken back into the pack. Murray and Dunn continue to work on McGuire and Meyer. Calvello has gone by both of them. She now moves to Joan Weston. She's looking for Dunn to give her some assistance, as well as Murray. Calvello moves to the outside. An elbow block back by Weston prevents her from going through for additional points. Dunn concentrating on McGuire and Meyer in there, but they can't score. They're a lap behind. The jam called off. There were 2 All-Star points picked up by Ann Calvello. Good move on that one.
Yes, it was, and Dunn picking off those 2 girls, Meyer and McGuire in the pack, that helps like that. When you can just go ahead and walk on, breeze on through, and then come up to your main blocker. And then had Dunn had a chance, you could have come up there and maybe moved Weston away. But McGuire and Meyer, this is another part of the game that nobody ever gives up. They just kept coming on back and picking up on Dunn, where Dunn couldn't give Calvello the hand that she really needed to get past Weston.
Well, you know what happened there, Nick, is I think people lost track of the lap because they couldn't score anyway. They had come back into the pack. They weren't on that same lap.
I know, but I think what Dunn was afraid of was that they may tie up Calvello to the point where she couldn't get back up to where Weston was. See, this is what they were trying to do, I'm sure.
Well, they'd already been passed, so it really wouldn't have made any difference. She would have had to lap him again if she wanted to score over him.
Yeah, but I mean, what they're trying to do is they're trying to pull Calvello back to the rear of the pack so she couldn't get any more points. And here they go again, though.
34, Dolores Tucker, and again it's Jerry Murray moving out. 3 in a row for Murray. And the jam is called off by Tucker, out number 2-1. Debbie Cho also came up for the All-Stars. Bombers starting to show the signs of fatigue out there against this team.
Well, it's taken a long time for the team to wear them down. I still don't think that they're worn down, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Murray take another one after this one.
Well, she just keeps going and going.
Well, that lady sure does. She's in the front, she's in the back, she's in the middle. You never know where she's at. I was wondering where that kid learned how to do that. That kid, what's his name?
Gambino?
That's something like that.
Michael Gambino? Yeah.
Number 35. Go ahead.
Yeah. You're going to get me in trouble. You know, I see these people after the games at these parties that they have. 39-38. All-Stars on top by 1. minute 50 seconds left to go here in the 7th skating period. Dunn is out for the All-Stars. She's got 2 Bay Bombers out there with her. 37, Carol Peters-Meyer, 35, McGuire. They get around Sandy Dunn. Gorillo runs into Dunn. She's spun around and is also down. Bombers now with a double scoring threat. Dunn is back up and moving again. She's a long ways back, and Pergolia coming out of the pack trying to bring Dunn back in. Bombers have the only jammers out. It'll be Ann Calvello back on defense for the All-Stars at the rear. Bombers pacing themselves on the end of scoring position. Dunn comes back, squatting low underneath Dunn. They're up and moving again. Dunn was dumped, jumped back up and came in with a block, but they slid right underneath her. Now it's Murray and Cavello with a double block. Meyer tries to get through, checked into the rail. McGuire moves forward now. She's spun back into the rail. Dunn has already been scored over, so she'll draw back to defend, but time runs out in the jam. The official decision, there were 2 Bay Bomber points scored on the play. 1 by Meyer, 1 by McGuire. Calvello and Dunn. Calvello and Dunn coming back up to Meyer and McGuire. And Calvello and Dunn catching each other. One of the problems you were talking about, no matter what jersey you got.
when you see a different jersey, you just keep swinging when you're in a position like that.
26 seconds left to go here in the 7th skating period. Bombers have taken the lead, 40-39 over the All-Stars. The men will be coming onto the track for the 8th and final period, following commercial words. Again, we want to remind all of the fans along the network that directly following the end of the game, there will be an interview, so be sure and stay tuned for that. And time in the 7th period has expired, with the Bombers leading 40-39 over the All-Stars. After these commercial words, we'll be back with the 8th and final period. Here's Don Drury, Nick Scobas back calling the action. We're in the 8th and final period, just getting underway here at Kezar Pavilion. Bay Bombers lead 40-39 over the All-Stars. Jammers out building on the play for the All-Stars. In the Red Devil jersey is number 21, Larry Lee. For the Bay Bombers, number 31, Chris Rowe. Lee comes up with a leg block to Rowe. Forearm block coming up out of the turn. Down a straightaway. Could have come in and does with another block back to Rowe. Trying to eliminate that offensive jammer for the Bombers. Good shoulder block. Puts him down. All-Stars now have the only jammer out moving on the play. Cal Stevens dropping back on the assist. That's the Red Devil coach. He's back to lead the way. They're going to be driving on Bill Grohl, who's sent back to do the blocking. Grohl slipping in a turn, going down. Never even had to make contact. Grohl slipped and went down. They're moving up. Power play. Bombers hit, taken high. And the jam called off.
Looks like Billy Grohl may have gotten hurt on that.
Yeah, he went down hard. He's down on the infield now.
I think he got his foot caught up in that kick rail, which will happen to you if you get up there too high on that track. And there's only a couple of guys I know that do skate up that high. One of them is Gammon.
43-40. Here it comes again, Nick.
It was awfully fast. You couldn't see Grohl go down, but here's Cal lifting that field, and Larry Lee going through the inside. Billy Grohl still, they just got him up now. There's Cal. And Big Charlie.
Charlie taking a look at Grohl, worried about that team. Grohl back on his skates, coming back onto the track. When he hit that turn and trip there, he hit that upright and just bounced right down to the infield.
It'll happen to you when you're up on that part of the track. It's like virgin territory up there. You better know what you're doing once you get up there, otherwise you're going to be in trouble.
The All-Stars picked up 4 points on the last play, and they now lead 43-40 over the Bay Bombers here in the 8th and final period. 9 minutes, 50 seconds left to go in this game. Back is formed, Grohl back on the skates. He's staying in the lineup. Back form, whistle sounds, jammers coming up. All-Stars break the first jammer out. It's the coach of the Chiefs for the All-Stars, number 49, Joe Foster going out. 36, Cliff Butler coming out for the Bay Bombers. 1-1 on the play. Stevens coming up with a block. Hit back by O'Connell at the front of the back. Now Butler comes in, good block into Foster. Foster rides it out, trying to take those strides to close back up on Butler, who got a good lead off of that block. It'll be JoJo Stafford back for the All-Stars. Stafford representing the Pioneers. Bob Hine, of course, thrown out in the first half, shoving an official, and it just won't be tolerated in this league. Stafford trying to eliminate Cliff Butler, comes up with another block, and Butler hit to the infield, runs into one of these teammates down there on the All-Stars who is trying to give direction. Foster still going for additional points. They've got O'Connell pinned up now. They're working on Gammon and on Grohl. And a jam called off, or time running out, rather. There were 2 more All-Star points scored. Joe Foster scoring. 45-40. The All-Stars have jumped up to a 5-point lead over the Bay Bombers.
They're starting to pull away on the Bombers right now, and it looks like the strength of the team is what's carrying them. It's not the teamwork, essentially. It's just that they got all that big beef up in there with Cal Stevens, Tony Smith, Joe Foster, JoJo Stafford. That's awfully tough to beat, you know, even if they aren't coordinated as they should be.
8 minutes, 10 seconds remaining in the game. Back again, being reorganized. The whistle sounds. Bombers down by 5 now. They're going to jam her up and out. It's Chris Rowe going out, and the All-Stars send out Cal Stevens. Stevens moving out, sends Rowe right back into the pack with the first block he throws. The All-Stars just dominating now. Apparently they've worn down some of these Bay Bombers, and they're on the move. Stevens coming along. Gammon is on a late chase, but he's a long ways back. Tony Smith dropping back, also a representative on the All-Star team from the Red Devils. Double blocked by Roscoe and by Grohl at the rear. Gammon about a third of a lap behind now. Smith back to lead the way. Stevens coming up, reaches back, a whip coming out of the turn. Stevens with a lot of speed, a lot of weight, goes through the middle of that double block, just busting people sideways, and cuts it off. 2 more All-Star points picked up on the play. Cal Stevens, there's coach of the Red Devils right there.
That's what I was talking about before. That guy can, if he goes out on a jam, he's dangerous. If he stays in the pack, he's dangerous. I think we got a replay right here. Here's Cal coming in at the rear. Tony Smith drops back. This is one of their set pattern plays that they use with the Red Devils. Now, these 2 guys, when he comes off this whip, that's like 2,000 pounds hitting that double block, and he's got to go through it if he's got any footing. Those guys went down like matchsticks.
47-40. The All-Stars continue to lead over the Bay Bombers here in the 8th and final period of this game. Coming your way from Kezar Pavilion, I'm Don Drury along with Nick Skopas. Bombers had an advantage from time to time. I don't know, maybe the All-Stars were just playing with them a little bit to see what they can do, or let them pump real early in the game, Nick.
I don't think so. I think the All-Stars were trying to regroup and trying to find out where they were themselves. The Bombers are no pushover team for anybody. They could take All-Star teams for the last 10 years, and they'd still have a hard time with the Bomber team.
Jam is in progress. It's Cliff Butler out and moving. He's the only potential scorer out moving on this play. JoJo Stafford back to do the blocking for the All-Stars. Bill Grohl dropping back on the assist for Cliff Butler. 36 is the one that could score Butler. 38 is on the assist. He has a solid helmet on. Stafford is the one they're going to try and get around first. Grohl reaches back. There's a whip. Butler moves up, moves to the outside. Hit back with an elbow block. Staggered back again. Again, Grohl coming up out of that turn. Reaching back to jump block from the outside. Stafford taken down. Now Stevens doing the defensive work for the All-Stars. Butler moves forward again. Again, Grohl moving back up. Comes up with a block. He sends Stevens on to the infield. Butler trying to find his way through. Stevens stays right with him. Butler still fighting for those points. Grohl trying to get that jammer through. Sidestep by Butler. Butler trying to go to the outside. Hit up in traffic. And time runs out on the jam. The official decision, there were 4 Bay Bomber points scored on the play. And a timeout being called here on the track with the All-Stars leading 47-44 over the Bay Bombers. Timeout being called. There's again a shot of the tremendous crowd. Don Drury, Nick Skopas calling the action. We're in the 8th and final skating period. We're back with the action as it is happening here. Here's a replay of that last jam there, Nick.
Here's JoJo. He almost stops Cliff with some good hard blocking. Billy Grohl around the outside jump block. Now watch Grohl. He gets up again, starts coming again on this play, comes through the inside. O'Connell nails Cal Stevens, gets him out of the way. But here's Grohl with Cliff, whips him up again. Cliff will jump up to the outside, right up in here, come right around through the inside of the pack, right through the middle of the pack, and pick up 4 points, hard-earned points.
Okay, we're back with the action as it is happening now out of that instant replay. And O'Connell comes up with a block. The lead potential scorer is Stevens. He's been dumped. Gammon sliding right underneath. Gammon coming up off a whip, trying to go right through, fighting his way. Off balance, Rowe with a whip. The jam called off. There were 3 Bay Bomber points scored by Mike Gammon. We came out of that instant replay right into the action as the jam was already in progress. And Gammon has come out out on that play. Stevens had the lead on that jam. Came into O'Connell. O'Connell hit him back, knocked him off his feet, and as he did, Gammon was right behind him. Gammon squatted low. Stevens went right up over the top of him, and from there you saw it. Gammon just kept moving off of those whips from O'Connell and Rowe in that pack, and has tied the score, 47-47.
That's what I was talking about before, Don, is where you can't, the Bomber team is just too good. They all know each other's moves. Once they start clicking, you can't stop. It doesn't matter who you have out on the track. And especially a team that hasn't worked together like this All-Star team. I'm not trying to count any pleas with the All-Star team. They're all great. They all skate well, and they're giving the Bombers a good run for their money.
3 minutes, 3 seconds left to go here in the game. Back is formed. The whistle sounds. The offensive Jammers work their way up and out. Bombers have the double scoring threat out, moving first. Gammon and Butler. All-Stars have Reyes and Joe Foster in pursuit. Gammon and Butler making their way around. Orozco, skate trouble, coming off the track, will be replaced out there. Jammer coming up. Gammon will be the lead potential scorer. Butler dropping off to try and slow down both of the All-Stars. Gammon trying to run his way around the outside. Lee comes in with a block, hits him back, slows him down. O'Connell with a block. Lee hit, block doesn't take. Gammon still trying to fight his way through for points. Grohl moving up there now. They're crisscrossing back and forth. Gammon again moving up. All-Star Jammer also moving up. That is Joe Foster. Gammon comes back with a block, rides Foster up along the rail, starts to dig in, tries to go to the outside, carried back by Lee. He's checked to the rail. Foster will approach Charlie O'Connell now. Gammon hit back again. O'Connell comes, a skater put into the rail. I believe it had to be Bill Grohl. Foster has gone by. Orozco, or Rowe rather, put into the rail. And there were 2 All-Star points. 2 All-Star points picked up by Joe Foster. 2 very tough All-Star points. The Bombers aren't giving the points up easy. These guys really got to go after them and get them if they want them. That's why I say it's an even game, although it is an All-Star game, an All-Star team against the Bombers. The Bombers are just a tough all the way around team. The referees have really had to stay on top of the job there. Randy Cobb, head official Bill Morrissey. It's been quite an experience for them out there. You know, when you've got so many and this good.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody trying to get away with what they can get away.
Oh, yeah, and if anybody knows the tricks, these guys do.
A minute, 20 seconds left to go in the game. All-Stars lead, 49-47 over the Bay Bombers. Remember the last jam in each half, it started with less than a minute, but we won't have to worry about that. A minute 10 on the clock, and Gammon is out, moving for the Bay Bombers again. Larry Lee coming out of the All-Stars. 38, Bill Grohl also on the move for the Bay Bombers. Gammon pouring it on, and look at these 2 men accelerate. Gammon flying into the rear of the back. It's going to be Stafford back there into the blocking for the All-Stars. Gammon makes a move, comes up, O'Connell with a block, Gammon outside. Called off. There was 1 Bay Bomber point scored by number 35, Mike Gammon. So the All-Stars lead cut to 1, 49-48. Now you can hear that crowd, and look at the crowd in the background, Nick. Standing up and yelling for the Bay Bombers.
Well, they have been all night long, too, and I'll tell you what, the Bombers are going with the same 5 guys out on the track for the last 3 minutes.
Less than a minute to go. Remember, if this jam starts, regardless of the time on the scoreboard, it will run the full 60 seconds. Jammers trying to work their way up and out. Bombers get the first jammer out. It's Mint's captain Bill Grohl out and moving on the play. Grohl out and moving. All-Stars being kept in. Gammon in control at the front of that track up there, preventing Johnny Rice from breaking loose, and Grohl is on the move. But he's going to have his work cut out. He's already tied. Rice breaks loose from Gammon. Grohl will be facing Cal Stevens at the rear of that pack. Gammon also coming up again. Rice, of course, wants to get the lead and cut the jam off as they're out of regulation time. They're in the extra jam time. Fans standing in the background. Gammon hit back. Rice has got the lead. Both of the Bombers have been hit to the rail, though. They're not cutting it off. They're going for the points. Gammon also coming up. Jam called off. The official decision, there were 3 All-Star points picked up by Johnny Rice. So the final score, the All-Stars 52, the Bay Bombers 48, and a well-played game by both of these teams, and especially, you got to give a lot of credit to the Bay Bombers, as you said, Nick.
Excellent game that they played.
They played the last 5-6 minutes with the same 5 men out there on the track.
Oh, yeah, they've been shorthanded with injuries, but the team is so well gelled that they're doing great.
We'll be back with an interview directly following these commercial words. Again, the final score here at Kezar Pavilion, the All-Stars 52, the Bay Bombers 48. Don Drury here at Kezar Pavilion after a hard-fought game with the coach of the Bay Bombers, Charlie O'Connell. Final score, the All-Stars 52, Bay Bombers 48. Charlie, it's always got to be rough to go against these many guys, especially off of the Pioneer Club, the Red Devil Club, the Chief Club, the cream of the crop for the entire league out there. And yet your guys seem to hold up very well, even right down to the end. Everybody, it looked like you were going to come right back.
Well, the only reason they ever do that is because I've never seen an all-star team yet that could ever get straight together. If they ever got sat down and thought about what they were going to do before a game, they'd probably beat us by maybe 50 or 100 points. But you can see it's total confusion out there. Nobody knows who's going on a jam. Nobody knows what's going to happen, but they just bulldog you with their beef, because one hits you, it's hard, and then the next one hits you, and it just keeps going down. And actually, they just beat us down as far as wearing us out. But as far as plays go, skating the game on plays, we can still beat them that way, but it's just confusion on all-star teams.
Well, we were looking in the first half of this game. Bob Hine had a little confrontation. It seemed to start off, I know he's got the series coming up with your team very shortly, but it seemed that you two started to go more so than guys like Cal Stevens and a few of the others. And I don't know if he just deliberately looks for you or past memories gone by or what the situation is.
It tends to go way back many years ago when he finally got on the Bomber squad. And he tried to write his own ticket and do what he wanted to do, use his own plays and stuff. And it never worked out. None of the teammates, they started having fights with him. So consequently, at the renewal of the following year, his contract wasn't picked up. So it started like that. It's a grudge right now against the Bombers and myself. So he's going to take every shot he can.
We were talking about that earlier as I did an interview with Bob Hine at one time. And he still can't understand why he left that team. You were out with an injury, as I recall, going into the playoffs there, and he was the guy that picked up the winning points and still feels that he should have this team as he's had other ones, and felt that he was a better draw and wanted to take over the Bay Bombers and stay there.
Why not? I mean, if a guy really thinks that he's done something great, he forgets that there's, 7 other guys on a team. 5 of them are taking a brunt all the way, and sure, he picked up the winning point for one game, but that doesn't make him the hero of the whole season. It took the other guys to get to that playoff. So if a man feels that way, he's no longer with me right away. I'll get rid of him first.
This Ron Turbin was out skating, and of course Larry Lee. They both come a long ways. Turbin especially, he seems to be very, very agile, and he's still got some time to go before he fills out. Still a young man out there.
Yeah, he probably won't come into his own for probably another 2 years, because it does take that much time. It seems like everybody thinks that all of a sudden there are stars overnight, but there's been a lot of guys in the woodwork that have laid back there for 5 and 6 years before they finally came into their own. Now, it doesn't happen in all cases, but in them cases, it's going to take a few years, and I believe that when they do come into their own, once they fill out with the beef, they're going to be terrors.
Don Drury along with Charlie O'Connell from Kezar Pavilion. Again, the final score, the All-Stars 58, the Bay Bombers 42. On behalf of the International Roller Skating League and the hosting Bay Bombers, thank you for joining us.